Hi, welcome to Soundings with Sash. Welcome to Monday evening. How's everybody doing? If you join me, please put in your comments that you're here. And if you're watching on the replay, put hashtag replay. And I'd love to give you some comments back. So, who's with me this evening? Just put a shout out. It takes a little bit. So, I'm so excited because tonight I have a special guest with me, and I will put her information up in just a second, but I'm really excited to have a guest. And so our show will go till 6:30. So hope you're all joining us. So I'm going to put a little intro of her. Her name is Crystal Tiehen, and you can catch her at crystallinejourney.com. So go take a look at her website. That would be great. And I'm so happy to welcome her right now. Hi, Crystal.
Hello there. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. It's Monday and the start of a new week and all that good stuff.
I know. It's a new journey and new everything. So how's it been? I just want to give a background. I met Crystal 2 years ago or 1 year ago. I don't know. Could have been a year or so ago.
Yeah. In between a year or two.
Yes. And I met her during an event, a She Tribe event, a little meetup. And be honest, I haven't been back to a She Tribe event since then. But as soon as I met Crystal, there was just like this connection, and she's really good at gauging your energy. So she saw my energy that day, and she didn't know me from anyone, and we're sitting across from each other, and she just gave me a zinger that day, and I was like, whoa. So she is awesome at reading energy, and she really helped me that day, just with a couple with a sentence, really. So I just wanted to bring that into how we got to know each other and how awesome you are, and I'm so excited that you're on my show finally. So
well, thank you so much for the introduction. And I do want to just clear up. So crystallineyourjourney.com is my website. So it's crystallineyourjourney.com. Just to make sure that you can find me.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for having me on the show. And I love tuning in and, all of the people that you're connected with, and just getting the word out there, right? Getting the word out there that I'm a big believer. I'm a firm believer in this paradigm shift that I strongly believe we're moving into higher consciousness, and if higher consciousness doesn't sit with you, really just being able to get out of the fear, right? Get out of the fear, like release the stress, like life is a gift.
Yes. And so thanks, Christina, for joining. And so she's saying hi to you, Crystal. So yes. She's lovely. She's in Florida. I wish I were where she is. But yes, we are definitely in a paradigm shift. We are definitely in a new season, and it's not just because of it's the new year. It's definitely a new season. I mean, I think we've transitioned from last year with the pandemic and everything. All things, came back to our values, our energy, and what we think, internally, who our inner truths and our inner selves are. That came into the microscope. Everybody I know had to introspect and come back to go, okay, who am I? Where am I at? And that's why I have that, who, what, why, and do and that's what the do you is about. So I have that, we have to always question that. We have to check in with ourselves. And I think if anything 2020 taught us is that relationships were important. Our relationship with ourselves was important. That what we're putting out in the world is important, and what we're absorbing from the world is important, So those are the places where, I know you can speak to as well, is, what have you seen? I mean, what's been your shift?
Absolutely. Like, you're speaking my language. And so when we say energy, I kind of want to clarify that a little bit with, elaborating on what we mean by, somebody being energy, or something being an energy, or the energy is, is feeling a certain way. And all of us have a energetic field. Some people call it an aura. Some people call it an energetic field. Maybe it's a bioenergetic field, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
within this field is our emotional body, our mental body, our physical body, our spiritual body, and then, of course, our subtle energetic body. And we could talk a little bit about chakras if you're interested in that, if you're interested in going a little bit into it, not necessarily like dive into it or anything like that, but just a little,
I totally,
because it's part of the whole thing, right?
yeah.
And when you can we're multifaceted beings, and when you can, get a grasp on the different aspects of who you are, you can kind of determine what needs your attention, what needs your intention, right?
Yeah.
And so yeah, what you talked a little bit about what you absorb, and then also what you emit outwardly. And so within that bioenergetic field, that energetic field that we are as a whole being, we vibrate this stuff subconsciously, unconsciously, and consciously, depending upon where our, level of consciousness, for lack of a better word, level of consciousness is.
Yeah.
So nobody's consciousness is better than somebody else's or anything like that. No. It's just your level of self-awareness.
Yes. And I think when you're not aware of where your consciousness and subconscious is, that's where you get into trouble, because you kind of don't you don't know that you're operating out of your subconscious and not your conscious. And so if you're not in tune with that, things can get a little chaotic, right? So it's really important for you to hone in on those places. And so I know, Crystal, you do different methodologies. So I'm just curious, if somebody, let's go to the elementary school level of this, because of chakras and things like that. Absolutely. And I totally believe in the chakras. Like I learned about that in some meditation and those kinds of things. And if you're blocked in an area, there is certain things that you can do, even just with meditating, you can unblock those places, or prayer or meditating, either, or, whatever you want to call it. And so elementary school, if you're conscious and subconscious, how can you tap into the subconscious? Let's start there.
So the subconscious is very interesting, and it has to be very intentional. Okay. And the subconscious is part of the mind. So, and then of course you have the consciousness, and then you have your super consciousness, and your super consciousness is that higher mind, right? Where you open up to wisdom and inner wisdom, right? So you are able to strengthen and flex your intuition. Okay. Because your intuition, when you access that higher mind, it facilitates for you going into your subconscious. Because your subconscious is it's a programmed place. Like it's been developed in the way that it's been developed, and for many of us, and why the world is in the space that it's in right now, is because there's been a lot of dysfunctional conditioning. I don't want to speak to a lot of controversial things, so I'm not going to go that path. But we definitely have, experienced a lot as human beings, and it's really time to forgive ourselves for it, and really move into a better quality of life.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to speak to the intuition and speak to the higher mind and, really setting intentions in regards to opening up to those parts of the mind. And I love, Sandy, how you ask questions because that's what opens our mind is questions.
Yeah.
That is what opens our mind, because what a question does is it gets us curious. It gets us out of that box, out of that like comfortable space. And that's where you can really start seeing what your true beliefs are, what your true thoughts are, not just something that was imposed upon you or projected upon you.
Right.
So to answer your question, the subconscious is definitely something to be very intentional with, because it's got a lot going on.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Your subconscious. Right. It's almost like your default setting. That's what I would call it. It's like if you are not in tune with your subconscious and your default setting, whenever you're going to go through something, you're going to go to that default setting and you're going to go, well, why did I react that way? Why was I triggered this way? What was going on there? And so it's really important to get some therapies to help you to go forward, to get past some of those things, because some of those default settings are not good, right? I mean, we think badly of ourselves, or we overreact, or there's anger, or there's real, sadness or emotion that's not appropriate to the situation. And you sit there and you go, well, what was that? Why did I react that way to this situation? And it's usually because in your subconscious, you haven't healed an area. So it's really important to get to that healing place in your subconscious, not just in your consciousness. So, right.
Yeah. And to even speak to the spiritual aspect of it all as well is, when you are triggered, okay, and you have not opened up to practicing moving through those triggers with a conscious mind, what's happening is the mind is pulling you out of the present moment. Okay. And when that happens, you go into the past, or I call it future tripping. And you trip into the future. Like you're like, but this is going to happen, but this is going to happen, but this is going to happen, but this is going to happen. And you create this scenario of, it's not even happening. It hasn't even happened.
Right.
And so the energy that we have to work with is the present moment energy. The past has already happened, and the future is yet to happen. And so our mind does this protection thing, where if we feel triggered, if our autonomic nervous system gets triggered, if we have not opened up to these practices and in this new way of being, if you will, your mind's going to throw you into the past. And you're very correct. You're going to react from a place of when you were 5 years old, when you were 12 years old, when you were, 25 years old, however old you are, you're going to react from that space that has that energy, because what's happening, you're in the present moment. That doesn't go away. You still stay in the present moment, but your consciousness brings the past energy into the present moment, and it dilutes the experience, because you're working with energy that has already been, instead of pure creative energy. Does that make sense?
Yes, it totally does. Yes. Thank you. And we have another comment from YouTube. So good to see you. Great point about the default settings. Some are good and some are the reason for some of our struggles and failures. That's true. They trip you up. Like you're saying, the future tripping, I love that.
I call it dumpster diving into the past, and call it future tripping into the
future tripping. Oh, I don't want to do any future tripping. Well, I kind of do, only if it involves a spaceship.
It's all about balance. There's no good or bad. There's
Yeah.
just awareness of recognizing the different aspects, multifaceted ways that we can navigate this. And when you get curious about it and you find wonderment in it, and you find an innocence almost, and like, wow, I didn't know how to do this, and I really want to learn how to do it. You start aligning to what your soul is showing up to experience. Nice. And when you start aligning to your soul's experiences and what it wants to experience, life becomes enjoyable.
Yeah. When you stay in this present moment of where you're at, where you're not going backwards and you're not going forwards or into the future, because, the future is tomorrow. But staying here gives you a level of peace, right? It gives you that level of calm and peace that is so needed right now. And instead of just like, things are swirling about. I mean, yes, we have to be in the reality, but you can draw on that soul peace that you feel.
Oh yeah. And I want to include another word, because this is such a powerful word. It holds such an beautiful energetic signature that is, it's not about the good and the bad. It's just about awareness of what's going on and how you want to navigate it and where you want to go from where you're at.
Right.
And where you want to be. And it's the word harmony.
Yes.
And because harmony is such it's such a magical feeling. But I don't want to sit here and just be all light and love kind of thing, because there's a lot of shadow. There's a lot of darkness.
There is.
We have polarity. We live in a world of duality.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's really finding the enjoying and finding the peace, the harmony, the balance.
Yes.
And moving through the process of getting to know yourself, of taking personal responsibility of working through your stuff, man. Like, we all have it. And the more we work through it and the more we clear it and the more we integrate higher frequencies, and we can talk a little bit about what frequencies and vibration, and like I said, the energetic body on a micro level. But the more we vibrate our authenticity, the more we vibrate our confidence and in our empowerment. And I'm talking about all human beings.
Yeah.
And just the more that we become a better version of ourselves, think about where the world will be.
Transforming.
When we can all really step into this, and whoever chooses.
Yeah. And I think that's where people, they don't do enough introspection. They don't do enough of that. And I don't mean in a narcissistic way, right? Like, they're not, it's not all about me, because once you get to know yourself, I mean, you can then give out just pure, your pureness. If you don't get to know yourself, then all of these little speed bumps, I call them speed bumps, will come along and just jar your whole world. And how are you gonna be a servant? How are you gonna help others, to find that peace and that calm if you haven't figured that out yet? So it's just sitting back and going, okay, where am I at? What do I need to do? And setting the intention of, who you are, what, and of course today for me, purpose, what's your purpose? What is it that you need to accomplish? And in all of those things, and I think that we don't get to know ourselves good enough. I didn't get to know myself until I was 50, which was a total shame. I mean, it took me to 50 years old to go, oh, who am I? again, back to this. Who am I? What am I supposed to be doing? And why was I put here? Why, and why don't I know this? All of those things. And so that's why I just put it pretty blank. And, what's my purpose? I thought I knew, but I realized that I had other people, like you talked about in the very beginning, I had other people projecting who that was, or I had a role in my life on what I thought that looked like. We have all these templates that are kind of put on us throughout, whether it's our profession, our personal life, as a mother, as a daughter, as a, whatever, we just kind of operate out of those places. But who are you really? Like, do you know who you are? And if you don't, how do you find out? So Crystal tell me about your practice. Like what you do in your coaching.
I totally want to bring awareness and just so much gratitude to like your authenticity right now and like what you're vibrating right now. And that was so much information, so much beautiful information, because there's so much that came through when you were speaking to all of it. And, it's so interesting because so many of my clients are like, God, why did it take me so long to get to this point to where I truly, found that I wanted to commit to this, right? I really do want to know about myself. And it's all in divine timing. It's all in divine timing.
Yes.
The universe has an order. Okay.
Yeah.
And when we can trust that,
yes.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
So much burden falls from us. And just because we are in partnership, we are co-creators. We don't have to do it all on our own.
Yeah,
we don't have to do it all on our own.
Yes.
And you talked a little bit about, people projecting what that is onto you. And this is part of the process. And what I mean by that is you have to learn to discern, not judge, but discern. It starts with judgment and then it moves into discernment as your consciousness expands. Yes. You have to discern what is right for you. What is your highest path? And that's not like it's easy. Okay. If it was easy, everybody would be doing it. And I know that's a cliche, but I say it to invite anyone who is really willing to step up to this commitment, because not only will you grow, but the collective will expand.
Yes.
So that's just some of the information that came through when you were vibrating so empoweredly. So I was like, well,
great. Awesome.
But yeah, so in my practice, I'm an intuitive wellness coach. So I take a intuitive approach to being able to help you find emotional and spiritual freedom. With emotional maturity, hand in hand comes, spiritual expansion, advancement. Our spirituality is part of who we are. Mm-hmm. And it's been so twisted.
Yes.
It's been so twisted. There is truth out there. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. But that's where that discernment comes in, because what's going on in our world now is the manifestation of everything that has been suppressed energetically.
Yeah.
And what self agendas can really show up as, and how twisted, the idea of soul and true self and connection and God. I'd say God, because me and God, we're very close. Yeah, I have conversations.
Exactly. Me too. Me and God. Yes.
Yes.
He's
Go ahead.
He's the supplier. I mean, he's the one supplying the energy. And it took me a long time to break out of that mold that I had, that I only thought that that I put energy in, and then I put God over here. I compartmentalized a lot of things, and I was misinformed about a lot of things because of other people projecting their opinion on certain things. So once I opened that up, once I opened up my mind and opened up all of that, then I was like, oh, it's all the same. Oh, and then, but it took me a revelation for that. And like in my practice, my tagline is navigating you to a destination of revelation. And that's what it is about. It's about navigating to that place of, oh, it's like an aha moment. Like I finally had that aha, like, oh, God is energy and energy is God. Oh, then that takes on a whole different, realm. It's not separated. Meditation and prayer. Oh, they're the same. Okay. So it took me a while. And I think as a Christian that I'm a Jesus follower. So I follow Jesus's principles and foundation and everything. And then I find over here, oh, Gandhi has the same. Oh, Buddha has, I mean, it's all similar values and similar mottos, similar things. I happen to follow Jesus. So, he's who I look to, when I need things. But God, being God the Father, is the creator of energy. He is the creator of all of it. And it's like, it just took me so long to transition out of that. And once I did, then, I mean, it was like a whole new world. It's like a whole new world just opened up for me. And I went, oh, so I don't have to stay away from over here because this is, deemed different, or whatever, whatever. So, I mean, that was my journey personally, and it took me to 50, to get there. And like you said, give yourself grace on that. Like I didn't give myself enough grace. I'll tell you that. I just kind of beat myself up trying to fulfill those roles that I had thought in my head that I needed to fulfill. And when I couldn't and I didn't, it was because I wasn't really turning everything over to letting God do what he needed to do. And in the divine, timing and all of that you were just talking about, like that took me, but I had to forgive myself for that. So forgiveness of yourself and giving yourself that grace to embrace any of that and all of that is huge. So if you need help with that, I know two people that could help you get there. So
yeah, absolutely. And I love that, we're both shining this work out there, right? Like vibrating this work out there. And yes. I'm not somebody who just, stopped doing the work myself. Like I have my interpersonal journey, I have my purpose, and then I have my lifestyle. And I
love that.
Yeah. I make sure that I have my energetic boundaries between them as well, because when they get intertwined, it can create a little bit of rustle, if not a little bit of an earthquake sometimes.
Right. Right. So Crystal, are you see, I'm not an empath. Are you an empath?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. So, yeah. I thought you were. Well, I already kind of already knew the answer.
Yeah. that's what really stimulated my journey, was the fact that I had an awakening through a near-death experience, and it's all on my website, my awakening experience. Okay. Yeah, but it was a very dark experience, and many people have had these darker situations. I call them life situations, because that's what they are. They're life situations. And you learn as you expand your consciousness that you can detach from these life situations, and that you don't have to be emotionally attached to them, because as an empath, That's what you do. You absorb emotions. And as your consciousness expands, all that means is that you're aware of more consciousness that's around you.
Right.
And when you step into what you're talking about with, believing that you are, God is energy and you are energy. So you are, essentially part of a whole, that then your consciousness is like expanded. And as an empath, you can just feel it all. And so as I have moved through this journey, being an empath is what has kept me in alignment and really kept me in a commitment to cultivate my faith and my trust, my patience. Whew, patience was a big one. I was even being tested a little bit today. I can feel it now. I can feel when my energy is kind of revving up and it needs to balance. It needs to, just take a moment, come back into the present moment. And, and it's so interesting how when you listen to your intuition, the universe, God, your external world, it can become your like classroom. Okay. It can become your mirror, your reflection. And so I'll share this with you. This is part of my interpersonal journey. But like when I was practicing, when I really had to learn patience, because it's almost like the universe is like, okay, you've learned this, so now it's time to learn this. And you've learned this, so now it's time to learn this. And there's no way because it's not linear. It's all over the place. So it's different for every soul. But one of them I remember very, very well was patience. And it was so interesting because, I share this practice with my clients, but it's affirmations and it's asking the universe how to do it, because the how is the process. And if your soul, you haven't really experienced it with your soul and consciousness, then the universe can show you how to do that, and how becomes the process. And so I teach this in what I call affirmations, and it's asking very pure, focused questions to the universe and to God. And so you're not looking outside of yourself for answers. You're just letting yourself have patience to open up to the internal wisdom that comes through.
Right.
And this is intuition. It's learning from within. Yeah. And so I was learning patience, and I was asking the universe. And so the universe showed me that every time a car gets in front of me and is going slow, like slower than like the speed limit, or it's just slow, like what it does is it brings me into the present moment immediately. And I have awareness that I need to practice patience. And so I can feel in my energetic field the revving up of the energy. And so I bring in the energetic signature of patience. And I teach my clients how to do all of this. And it's very, very, very powerful to be able to discern what energetic signatures you're asking yourself to call in, so that you can balance out your energetic field in the moment. Yeah. And then wisdom, and then your crown opens up, and we can talk about chakras, but the wisdom comes through. And you get this information that just blows your mind, because you're like, I never knew that. But it's like this download that is meant specifically for you, so that you can upgrade your template. I'm going to use your word. I'm going to use your word. Upgrade your template.
Upgrade your template. Yes.
So anytime that a car gets in front of me and it's going slow, I don't try to shoot past it, because I have this innate wisdom that has literally been downloaded in me that, wait a second, Crystal, you just need to practice patience.
That's great.
Great. So it's not like I tell my clients, hey, this is a great way to practice patience, but that's just the way that the universe showed me to practice patience. it will show anybody else a different way that is specific to what is going to upgrade your template.
Great. That's awesome.
Does that make
Thank
sense?
you for sharing that. Oh yeah, absolutely. So
okay. I want to make sure I'm being digested here.
Yeah. Oh yeah, most definitely. And you know, it's like in layman's terms, like you keep coming up with, like, going around the same mountain all the time. You're always coming up against something over and over. What is the reasoning for that? It's because you haven't dealt with it. You know, usually if you're going around the same mountain, you know, different person, it doesn't matter whatever the mountain is, you know, different person, different situation, but yet here it is, the same outcome. That means that that's something that you need to deal with and free up. And exactly what you're saying, like learning the patience piece, you're having to learn something. Obviously the universe, God is telling you, okay, I can't let you go past here until you learn whatever this is, you know, whatever the situation is. Yeah. So with your, if you just have that keep coming up, then that is something you need to deal with in your subconscious. Like your consciousness keeps going, you know, why? And then your subconscious is going, okay, there's something back here that you need to deal with, that you're not dealing with, and that you need to show attention to, intention to, you know, release it, you know, so to speak. So let's talk about the chakras, because that's important in that. And so I had to learn it a little bit. So just tell me elementary school, you know, since my audience members probably just elementary school of a chakra. What is a chakra? And I know that's different places in your body, but if you could just explain that.
Yeah. So if you can imagine the chakra system, and it's a 7-part system. This derives from the Hinduism teachings, and that's kind of the one that I go to. There's a lot of different things out there.
There are. That's why I was asking, because I'm like, okay, I've read so many that I didn't. Yes.
Yeah. So I mean, you can dive deep. I mean, you could spend a lifetime studying and learning and, you know, using the chakra system, you know, to its highest potential. But to get it down to elementary school, for it to be digestible and just be able to use it in practical situations, your chakras are like the subtle energetic system of spiraling energies. And as they spiral, the energy flows up and the energy flows down. And it's like this channel, if you will, that moves straight through the middle of the body. So this is the crown, and then at your coax, if you will, that's the root. Okay. And so it's the root chakra, the sacral chakra, the solar plexus, the heart, the throat chakra, the third eye, and then the crown chakra. Okay. And those are the 7 chakras that are, again, derived from the teachings of Hinduism. And the root chakra is it's the element of earth. Okay. And it is for survival. Okay. So it's like that. It's what do you need to survive? And the way that it's blocked, because your chakras can be blocked, so the energy isn't flowing, it's a little distorted and those type of things. It's blocked by fear. So that's the first chakra at the root, at the earth, what you sit on. Okay, basically. Okay. Mm-hmm. The second chakra is your sacral chakra, and this is a element of water. So this is a lot of about creativity. Your sacral chakra sits in your womb area. Mm-hmm. And so it's for creation. Go figure, because, you know, you literally women birth, you know, creation from there. Mm-hmm. And men have them as well. They're called hathas, but we won't go too far into that. But men have an energetic womb as well, because they have a sacral chakra as well. And it's for creativity and it's for pleasure. Okay. And the way that it can be blocked is through guilt. So
Okay.
anytime you're really feeling guilt, it can definitely, you can check in with your sacral and kind of see what's going on there, and if what you can do to move the energy of guilt, whatever it's attached to at the time in the present moment.
Okay.
And this is really just a guidance system. And then your solar plexus sits just right above your belly button. And this is the element of fire. This is for empowerment and confidence and self-worth and worthiness. And this one is blocked by shame. So you really want to look into what disappointments you have with yourself and what you can do to clear those disappointments. Are you there?
Yes. Yes.
Oh.
I just put you to so I could see you better.
Okay, cool.
Sorry.
Okay. I'm like, whoa, wait. Okay, so and then the fourth chakra is the heart chakra, and this is love and compassion, and just, you know, that deep unconditional love. And this is blocked by grief and loss. A lot of people have, you know, in their subconscious abandonment situations and things of that nature. And so those kind of things have to be worked through and moved through. The energy has to move and clear so that it can clear that chakra, open it up, and it can spin as it's supposed to, so that the energy can flow through without any blockages.
Okay.
And then the next one, so this is the fifth one, is your throat chakra. And this is the element of sound, okay? And of course, expression, right? And this is blocked by what we were talking about, untruths and projections, and, you know, when we're lying to ourselves, and type of things. So we have to like release our denials, our avoidances, our rejections of self, you know, and also who you are, like innately at your core, like in your nature, in your authenticity. So this is a big one.
Yes.
If you can imagine.
Yes. Yes. Wow. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And then the sixth chakra is your third eye. This sits just right in between here, just like a third eye, if you will. And it's in tune with the pineal gland.
Yes.
And this is the element of light. Okay. And, you know, light being the speed of light. This is how we move energy with speed and intention, is really being able to learn insight within ourselves. And then of course, insight with consciousness around us as we continue to expand our consciousness.
Right.
And this one is blocked by illusion and separation. So we talked about that. Yeah, we talked about that. So this is where the world isn't separate, right? Like we're all one. And it's really embodying that belief. And, you know, within embodiment, you're really expanding your capacity to receive and discern. Because when you embody a belief, you are living it. Like you are walking the walk, not just talking the talk.
Right.
And then the final one is the crown, and this sits at the top of the head, and well, little 2 inches above the head, if you will. And this is like just pure cosmic energy. This is infinite intelligence. And this is the element of information. And and this is blocked.
Cool.
Yeah, this is blocked by earthly attachments. So that it doesn't mean like attachments in the sense of like, oh gosh, I can't have relationships with anyone, or you know what I mean?
Right. Right.
Attachments come from codependency and those type of things, and feeling like you are in a sense of lack if you don't have that person, place, or thing.
Right.
That's when you know you're attached to it, is when you're coming from lack.
Yes. Coming from lack. I've heard a lot about that lately. The coming from lack piece. Yeah. That being the 2021 kind of, that's kind of been a mantra of a bunch of different things I've seen out there right now. of people trying to get you to get out of the mentality of lack, that we fall into this lack prosperity. Our prosperity is lacking. We think that we need to stay in that lack area for some reason. And it's funny. It's kind of been I've seen it several times in the last week, actually. And so you said that's from the crown chakra?
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is great that you're bringing this to attention, and that you're bringing awareness to this, because this is coming full circle for you. I'm feeling a little bit of synchronicity with what I'm speaking right now, because what's talking to you right now is something that is in your energetic field, like at this moment. And that's why you've been seeing these signs. And now you have this reflection as to what can be blocking it.
Yeah.
And so how beautiful is that? So like you're totally like being asked to, put your intention and attention towards that opening of the crown and receiving that inner wisdom, so that you can learn that lack is really just a form of attachment, right? And
Yeah.
as you learn to detach, you learn to open up that crown and receive that inner wisdom that's going to let you enhance your connections instead of feeling like you're dependent upon your attachments.
That was very good. Wow.
Okay, that just came through, so I thought I'd share that with you.
Luckily, I have it on video, so I'll have to go back and watch that again. So, no, that must be an area of attention, obviously. I'm like,
And I think that's such a beautiful thing. And that's why this is such a powerful guidance system, the subtle energetic system. When my intuitive gifts were activated, this is just what was shown to me to communicate with energy within others and within myself. And I mean, there's been expansion from that, but this is still a basic, like master the basics. Like that's what enlightenment is practicing and mastering the basics.
Yes.
It's really quite simplistic, but our mind complicates it.
Oh, yes, we do. Yes, we do. I mean, and it's all the way that we learn as well. So just about yourself, I mean, what was your first step in trying to get enlightenment? Because I mean, people struggle with this, because getting from, like I said, at 50, I just went, okay, how did I toss out all of those things that I thought I knew to get to this new stage of awakening and enlightenment? I mean, what does one need to do, or how do they? Some people are not aware. Sometimes they're not even aware that they're not operating out of that place, that they think they are. Does that make sense? Like they think that they.
Well, that goes into their level of awareness, and there's not a good level of awareness or a bad level of awareness. There's just that person's level of awareness. Every person is on their own journey. And for me personally, to speak to my own journey, my awakening was it was earth shattering. It wasn't even just an earthquake. It was like my earth went shatter and it just broke into a million pieces, energetically speaking. And so basically my world was turned upside down, and I had to learn how to navigate it. It doesn't come with a booklet of instructions or anything like that. You're just
because we're so unique. Yeah. I mean, it's not going to be the same for anyone. Right?
No. And you're just shown that this is of importance now. This is of priority now. And, I always say this because I believe it to the core. And, God gave us one of the greatest gifts. He gave us free will.
Yes.
Free will is humans' greatest challenge.
It is. Yes.
Challenge. And of course, He gifted us that.
Yes.
Because it creates the wholeness of our experience.
Right.
And so
our seeking, it brings out our innate wanting to seek after. If it were just given all to us, like here it all is, then would we take it for granted? Would we use it? We would misuse it, maybe. We have to have that free will and seeking to find it. I mean, we can't, like in Monopoly, pass go and collect $200. We can't do that. We have to go on the journey.
Yeah.
Journey.
And your higher path is connecting to what I call your source cord. It's your cord to source. It's your inner understanding of yourself. I mean, yes, there are many, many, many of us where our inner world is not tended to. And when our inner world is not tended to, it's a facade. And I don't say that to speak upon other people's journeys. I say that for my own journey.
Right.
Like, I was making really good money. I was in a very established career. I was in a incredibly toxic relationship, abusive relationship. But hey, my outer world, I was in the boys club. I was top sales rep. I was, my worthiness was in how much money I was making. And so, I mean, I was looking at, houses down at the Lake of the Ozarks because that's how much money I was making. I was flipping houses. I had gotten my real estate license. I mean, I had all this gumption and motivation and, masculine energy I was using to mask what I was going through internally. And it manifested, the dark side, the dark part of my world manifested in my relationship. And I totally hit it. And so, and it almost killed me. Wow. And so that was my awakening. Like, my outer world looked wonderful. People had no idea. None.
They usually don't. Yeah.
And so you say, hey, how do we bring awareness to this?
Yeah.
People, look inside yourself.
Yeah.
If you are not feeling peaceful most of the time, if you are not feeling in harmony most of the time, if you are not feeling balanced most of the time, then maybe you should ask some questions to yourself.
Yes. Yep. That's
really where it starts.
That's where it starts. Yep.
And maybe you're one of those souls that doesn't have to be awakened by an earth-shattering situation.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if the pandemic didn't shake you just a tad, if it didn't shake your whole reality up, I don't know what world you're living in, but I mean, it definitely shook many people's worlds up.
Absolutely. And that's the manifestation of, so I talk about micro and macro, micro being interpersonal, macro being collectively what's going on. Yeah. And this is a manifestation of our collective consciousness and what we are clearing as a collective.
Right. And because it didn't just hit, the pandemic didn't just hit our country. Like people have made it very politicized, which makes no sense because it was worldwide. It was something that's happened worldly. So that tells you this was a shaken. This is us being shaken. This was it's a shakening before the awakening, I guess you'd say. So.
You gotta coin that. You gotta coin it.
Yes. So.
Oh, you gotta coin that. You gotta coin that.
I gotta coin that one. Okay. So, but that's really what it was. I mean, that it brought out the worst in people and the best in people. So it's brought out both. And so it identified where you were at in the world, but not the inner world. not where you were at in the inner world, but in the outer world. And if you were fearful and had anxiety and all those things, that brought to attention what you need to be doing internally. Because if you have anxiety and all of the fears and all of that, then that really should have brought you to attention of, you know what, I'm not taking care of my spiritual being here, you know? And then if it brought you to fear about your health, then that brought you into your physical being, didn't it? It's like, okay, am I healthy? Is my immune system working? You know, so the mind, body, spirit thing. And then up here, how is your reasoning? How did you discern, you know, what was really happening? What is really happening? You know, how are you discerning that? So the pandemic definitely spotlighted all three together. So that was the time of you saying, okay, I need to get these things into balance. These things need to come into focus. Like we need to focus on here and our spiritual selves. And I hope that it was like a launch pad for you to seek that inner person, to seek who you are in that. And you know, if you're a light worker, especially, you know, I know that a lot of empath friends of mine have felt the absorption of all of that. And it could have been very oppressing and depressive. And I know that they've all had to work out all of those variables through the first couple months, like March, April, May. I mean, I remember everyone just kind of like freaking out. And since I'm not an empath and I'm one of those that wants to go, okay, what do I need to do? What, you know, I'm more of the, I'm in the lane of trying to figure out a way to make people aware of their peacefulness, you know, like, okay, let's bring in the peace, you know, let's bring in the peace. This is what we need to do. So it's just been a really interesting thing.
It has been. And you say you're not an empath and that's, you know, that's your truth and everything. Mm-hmm. We as human beings, when we are one, we are all connected. And within being all connected, we really are empathic human beings. We really are able to communicate telepathically. We really are able to communicate empathically. When you walk into a room, you'll know if you're gonna have fun in that room or not. You'll know if there's something there that just doesn't feel so good. You know what I mean? Like, in the more that you expand your consciousness, the more empathic you become. And that's why it's so important to know your internal world, because your internal world is it's your reference point. It's your source cord. This is what I connect people to, because it's a practice. It's not this, oh, I learned it and now I know it.
No. It's always
mastering the
basics. Always.
Absolutely. Yeah. And what energy does is it contracts and it expands. It's always moving. It contracts and it expands. It's always moving. Yes. And I teach that it's not a bad thing to contract. Okay. It's not a bad thing to feel sad. It's not a bad thing to feel anger, frustration, all of it. And even what's underneath and what's going on and what's attached to it. It's a necessity. Yes. And we as human beings have been programmed to totally freaking avoid it. Yes. Like, how do you avoid the movement of energy? Like,
well, I mean, and coming back a full circle to when I introduced you is when I met you, that was the very first thing you said to me. You said, Sandy, you need to feel the negative energy as much as you need to feel the positive energy. Just saying, that's exactly what you said. So,
oh my gosh, that is so hilarious. Isn't that? I mean, you can't make this stuff up, all right? Like,
no, that's why I was like, wow, she pegged me like right off, because I'm good at the positive energy, but I was still in that phase of learning that negative energy needed to be felt as well. Because if I didn't feel the negative energy, that meant I wasn't dealing with it. That meant I was pushing it off and I wasn't dealing. So,
well, yeah. And here's the thing. Here's the thing
yeah.
about the subconscious. Like, I'll leave you guys with this, is that if you're not feeling that those energies that are, I call them unpreferred energies, if you're not feeling those unpreferred energies, they are in your subconscious and they still are expressed. So even if you're suppressing it, even if you're burying it, doesn't matter. It's like a bottle that is,
Yes.
you know, has a cork in it, and the pressure will eventually pop that cork off. And when
Yes.
it does, it's going to overflow. And that is, and it'll make a mess. Yeah.
Oh,
Right.
yes. Oh, yes.
And this is a great analogy for what happens when we don't feel those unpreferred feelings. And
Yes.
you might, you know, go off on your children, or you might have, you know,
yeah.
go off on your significant other, or, you know, you might have a situation at work and you get demoted because of how you chose to react to it. All of these things are because we suppress the unpreferred in our subconscious, and we don't have responsibility for our subconscious until we do.
Yes.
Until we.
Yes. And I find myself, I mean, I'm still, you know, every day is a new day. Every day is a learning day. And I still find myself sometimes where I kind of have that volcano moment and go, okay, what was I not dealing with? And then I look back and I go, it definitely wasn't because somebody was parked so close to me that I couldn't get in my driver's door.
And it like triggered
and I was just like, oh my God, this person just, you know, and like go off like a crazy person, you know, and then get in the car and go, okay, that was not appropriate response. So,
oh my God, it totally brings me to Fried Green Tomatoes, the movie. Have you ever seen it?
Oh yeah.
Where she gets really peed off and she rams into that person's
yes, in the parking lot. Yeah, those young girls in the car. Yeah,
there you go. That's subconscious being a little messy there. Okay, he's like, nope, no more. I'm ramming it.
Yeah, she did. Yeah, Mary Bates. What's her name? Yeah.
It's Bates, but I can't think of her first name.
I can't think of her first name either. But she was she was so good. And yeah, that was like an inappropriate response. And it was because of all the other stuff she was dealing with and she wasn't dealing with. So if you find yourself in those volcano corked bottle moments, you know, just know it's something in your subconscious that's simmering there and you probably need to call attention to it. And so anyway, gosh, this hour went too fast, Crystal.
I know. It's already.
We didn't even get to. We didn't even get to the real meat of stuff.
When I riffed with Scott McMillan, we had 2 episodes because he broke them up into 2 episodes because it just kept going. So.
Yes, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yes. So will you come back on? I would love to have you back on again. I love it. So is, you know, definitely, you know, tell them again the name of your website. Did I have it wrong on there? I was just wondering, did I have it wrong on there?
Yeah. So it's
Crystalline Journey. Yeah, that's what it says.
It's Crystalline Your Journey.
Oh, I messed up the your. I apologize.
That's okay. And it's YOUR. It's a long one.
Crystalline Your Journey.
But I got intuitive download to call it Crystalline Your Journey. And I'm like, who in the world is going to respond to Crystal? Who's going to know what Crystalline Your Journey is? Like, I get this like.
That's great. That's great. Crystalline Your Journey. Okay.
Yeah.
I will get rid of that and I'll edit it on the other end. So thank you so much, Crystal, for coming on. And I want to have you on again. And we just got to the preschool. We didn't even get to elementary school. We were.
I know.
So I can't wait to have you on again. And anything else you want to promote, you know, before I get off here? And
you know, at this point in time, just hop on my website and check out and see if it feels right to have a virtual connect with me. I offer free virtual connects. So
you should do that. Everybody should do that. If you don't know where you're at, you need to connect with her. So, all right. Thank you, Crystal. So blessed to have you on. Thank you.
Thanks, Sandy. It's been amazing.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
See you soon.
Okay. Bye.
Bye. you.